I hope everybody had a really great summer. Natasha and I wanted to make just a few little announcements, updates. Most of you probably have heard, but we have a new Manhattan Parks Commissioner. Bill Castro is no longer with Parks. His name is Anthony Perez. If we're lucky, he might be on tonight's meeting, or he will hopefully be on next month. Also, there's a new president and CEO of Riverside Park Conservancy, and her name is Merritt Birnbaum. And she is going to open our meeting on October 21st, I think 17th, October 17th, when we have our next Parks meeting. She will be with us to talk about what she has planned for Riverside Park and also to answer your questions. So that should be exciting. And she replaces John Harold. So, Natasha, you have anything else you want to bring up at this point?
No, not just yet. I think we can move on to Anibal Aviles.
Okay, great. Okay, so now I think we're ready for share screen. And who's presenting for Anibal Aviles?
Okay. Whitney Talcott will be presenting. He's a landscape architect. I'm a senior designer on the same team.
Great.
So do you see the screen?
Yep.
All set. Okay. Well, thank you for being here tonight. I'm Whitney Talcott, landscape architect for the NYC Parks. I'm happy to present this concept design. We were here last April for community input, and now we would like to share our plans with you. Let's see here. Okay, so back in April, we heard a lot of input from the community, and we came up with some goals, looking at also the existing conditions out there. And what we were trying to do here is to upgrade the active play capacity for the park, give it some more play value. The playground equipment designers call it play value for play equipment. Facilitate passive use and community events, enhance and add to the environmental amenities of the site, improve access, circulation, and sight lines within the park, and upgrade the site utilities and amenities. So the playground is here between Columbus and Amsterdam in the Manhattan Valley area. We've got a bird's eye view showing we've actually just finished the Booker T. Washington Playground, and before that we did the area with the basketball court and the adult fitness areas. And now this one is the last on the street on 108th Street for the playground. Let's see if we can get another one here. Okay, there we go. We like to look at the land use in the area. This is mostly we got multifamily and institutional use here. And with the Wishfish senior housing development on both sides, one's just finished and one probably starting in a year or two. The neighborhood is rich with parks. This one is going to be one of the bigger areas of with play equipment in the area, though. So with a spray shower, comfort station, and play equipment, I think it's a little bit larger than than any other ones. So it's going to be a very valuable resource here. Existing conditions are, it's about a half an acre in size, and some of it is already finished with a new comfort station and some swings and a new entrance as part of the Wishfish senior housing development. That was very helpful for us. And we can finish the rest of that playground. But right now, there's a lot of asphalt there. And some of the utilities, there's an RPZ out on the streets side. There's a spray shower far in here, and the drainage, we're still exploring the drainage actually. We're exploring to see how it works, and we're doing some other investigations into the site. But there's a lot of area here, and I think we can do a lot better with play value, giving a little bit more and actually making more space. So we looked at all the trees on site. We had the forestry department come out and give us an inventory and a condition report. And we looked at all the trees, and some of them are going to be coming out. And we've also found some areas that we can install some more trees in. So that is looking good out here. This is a pretty nice shady spot in the summertime. Existing conditions here, more site photos of this is fairly elderly play equipment. They've made some major strides in design since this was put in. There's a nice front sitting area along the street. But we've got a lot of open space in here. Spray shower towards the back. It's just a lot of wide open asphalt here. This is the new area, which has the new conversation area and the new swings and the sitting area, which is a valuable addition here. We got some planting areas, and here you can see there's the RPZ along the street. And the community put in a gate here, which this entrance, I guess, was problematic for balls and kids rolling out into the street. But what we did was we listened to all you said at the community input session. We made a little graphic here that showed all or some of the statements that we heard: seating, play areas, runaround space, a spiral tube slide, lighting, needs sight lines so that you can see from play area to play area, bottle fillers, drinking fountain, performance space, and no boo-boos. That's one of the few things that we heard: no boo-boos, run around and no boo-boos. So we took all these things into account, and we have a new plan. This is our schematic plan. This plan adds 4 new trees. If you see these green circles here are 4 new trees. We're trying to minimize the asphalt area. We've got extra green space now around the play areas. We have new pavements and colors, the turf area over here. So we've got a lot more variety here. The 2 to 5 and 5 to 12 play areas are close to where they are now, but I think we've improved the circulation around them, and we've certainly improved the play values, and we'll show you the actual units in a moment here. As you can see over here by the synthetic turf, we have a little stage and an area where performances can happen. People can give presentations. There may be some artwork, and then which is next to a passive seating area, which is similar to where the seats are now, but I think we've given them more value. We've got some picnic tables. We have some play tables in here with game tables. And we've also made it a different kind of pavement. We've got concrete pavers in here, but different colored pavers. So if you look, and also the entrance is different colored pavers. So these in this passive seating area is both passive seating areas, actually, the existing one and the one that we're doing with this improvement are different colored concrete pavers. And then we have all this runaround space, which is multicolored seal coat. So this is actually asphalt, but we've colored it lots of different colors all around the spray shower, which is much enlarged and slightly moved in, so it's so that there's more runaround space. We've made the 8-foot or the larger 5 to 12 area swings. So we push them up a little bit towards the back so we can improve this area here with a performance and presentation space. Let's see. Also we put a bike rack and a trash enclosure on the street to facilitate people coming to the playground. Also, what's in here are a lot more lights. We're putting in our regular small pole lighting that you see in the park. We've got about 11 new light poles throughout the park. Here's one here at the corner. There's another one here at this corner by the stage, and where we got some more. They're in here. One over there, one over there, one over here. So this won't be a dark area in late afternoon and evening. The play equipment. This one is the 2 to 5 area play equipment. There's a lot. If you look at the small plan here, we're looking from the spray shower at the play equipment, that angle. So we have little climbing areas here. We've got little platforms and run around and climbers and little slides. This one would be more of a toddler area. And this is all under colored safety surface. These are the colors we're using here, the marbled tan safety surface. And these are the colors on the side here. Would be the colors that we are using. There's a red accent. We've got some denim blue and more of a French blue. So we're trying to add a lot of color to this area.
I just want to add on this one, Whitney, that you'll notice that we've included a lot of elements that are tactile elements, and then also that dome is designed with children who have autism in mind, so that they can get some quiet space. So some of these things you may not think about, but we think about an entirely inclusive play unit. So there's also a lot of ground play elements for children who use wheelchairs. So yeah, a lot goes into it. And I talked to connecting the ground play to the deck play so that there's a communication between kids, which is very fun. So yeah, we're excited about this unit and the way it turned out.
What's that dome made out of? Is it metal or plastic?
It's plastic.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, we can move on to the 5 to 12, which is fairly expansive, and we've got lots of runaround space here again. We've got some noodles here on the side. You can run through these noodles. We've got a lot of climbing areas. Can't really see some of these from this angle, but we've got a climber across the back here. Some things that kids in wheelchairs can approach and use without having to run up and down these platforms. And we've got the spiral slide that was asked for back here. If you can, this one, the view is from basically back towards the corner where the presentation space would be. And well, actually the corner of, yeah, by the edge here, there's actually the playground goes beyond here. There's a part that's missing. But you're looking at it, and you can see that there's a lot of runaround space.
Yeah, children actually figure out how to climb those noodles. It's kind of an interesting breakthrough for them. Maybe another kid shows them. It's a pretty dynamic feature, actually.
Yep, and then we have some of these wire or web climbing areas in here.
Very popular, yeah.
Very popular.
Well, let's see what Caleb thinks of them.
Right.
You got. He said it was so cool. You got thumbs up from my 10-year-old son. So
excellent.
Good. And then the spray shower is much improved from before. We have many different kinds of sprays here. We've got sprays that go, or misting type sprays, and then we have vertical sprays, and it gives you something that you can run through and run around, and is much more experiential than just a single spray. And then
just wanted to ask, is this going to be on a timer? Because there was a timer. I'm president and founder of Friends of Anibal Aviles Playground. There was a timing implement for the current spray shower that's there now, but that seems to have broken, and it's just on all the time over the summer, I guess, in the morning, and then turned off, which seems like a waste of water. Is this going to be timed?
Yeah, they're very concerned about wasting water. So yes.
Can I just speak? We will have a Q&A session afterwards. So Dan, if you could hold on to your question.
I'm sorry, I shall.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so, and then we've shown here the colors that we're proposing for the colored concrete. These are sort of pastel-y colors. And so this part of it is actually colored concrete, whereas this blue area here, that's all colored asphalt. So, and here we have a 3D view of it from the 5 to 12 area. So you can see how the sprays are of different sizes, and this one I think is more of a misting one, and these are little jets. So this one looks a little dark because we don't have the colored seal coat drawn on this asphalt yet, so it's actually going to be a little bit lighter than this, quite a bit lighter. Here's another view looking at the passive seating area along 108th Street, and you can see that we have these picnic tables and the game tables, and we have some trash receptacles here. We have a bottle filler here and a drinking fountain. And this gives you an idea of how the fencing is going to look also. We've got 2'6" fencing along around the playground, and around the other part of it is going to be much lower fencing. I think just a little bit over a foot fencing to define these planting areas. Yeah, 1'6" to define the planting areas and 2'6" around the playgrounds. This shows you the fencing diagram. We're going to be replacing the mesh on the on these CLF fences in the back, and in the front, we're going to be replacing the existing fence with a 4-foot-high steel fence rather than the chain link fence. So it's going to look a little bit more. It's going to look more formal, but it's going to be lower, so you can see into it, and the light comes into it a little bit better than today. And all the planting beds are all defined by 1-foot 6-inch fencing. This gives us an idea of what the materials and site furnishings we're using: the bottle filler, drinking fountain, type B light pole, which is what we're putting. We have about 11 of these around the playground. We're using the old 1939 fencing or benches, and we have big belly trash receptacles and the picnic table. And our colors. This presentation is also geared to the Public Design Commission, so we have to show all of the materials as well. We have synthetic turf, and we have the hex blocks, and we have the colors of the color seal coat. And our plants, these are the 4 trees that we're putting in. Put some autumn color and spring color. So that should liven up the playground. Also in the other planting areas, we're doing some Cuba, clethra, which is a wonderful, nice fragrant shrub that provides a great fragrance in the spring. We got some winter and autumn color for cornice. So the idea is to try to add a lot of color and interest to the playground. We're adding permeability to soak up the water rather than just put it in the drainage system. So we have these permeable pavers along the in these areas around the passive seating areas. Let's see. So there we have the schematic plan again. And if anybody'd like to talk, ask questions, I think there's a question in here too, right? Okay, 3-year-olds like it. So that's good. That's a major plus. Thank you.
I would love to talk. I have to leave soon anyway. My name is Godwin Morris. Why do I have Dan's name on my thing?
I gave you the link, Godwin. So
okay, good. Yeah. So I run a kind of a day camp after school program half a block away, and we're in the park. Caleb is one of our campers. We're in this park constantly, and this is gorgeous. I'm just going to tell you my opinion. I know you don't want to hear it really, because I know how hard you worked on this, but the green areas and that fencing that you're putting around the play area is going to wind up being obstacles that kids are going to be jumping over. They're going to be stepping on all the plants. And the one thing about the park that I love now is that when I said run around space, we literally mean being able to run from one end of the playground to the other, not running on the equipment, but running. And it's so fabulous how they can run back and forth the length of the playground. So this just looks to me like a bunch of obstacles. And so I know you want to have the green areas. And even now that sort of triangular green area that's in there, where the kids go in there, it's a mess. It collects rats. It's just not, anyway, that's a different issue, but the plants are going to get trampled because the kids will be climbing over that fencing. So don't put a fencing in to delineate the areas. Leave it as open as possible so the kids can kind of run or move between the areas as freely as possible. That is my main response. It's gorgeous. The colors are beautiful.
Thank you. Can I just interrupt? First of all, can you say out your name for Polly Spain, who's doing the minutes tonight? Thank you so much, Polly. But could you just state your name and your affiliation?
Yes, I was going to see if I could change it on here. Here, I can rename it so you can see my name.
And secondly, I just want to say that we'll be calling on people. We have a process of first going through the community board members for Q&A and then going to the public. But of course, the Parks Department should answer Godwin Morris's questions right now, since she's already asked them. And your affiliation, Godwin?
I run a program called Dazzling Discoveries. I run another program called Skill Mill NYC, which is on Amsterdam. So we've got 2 spaces that we pay rent in the neighborhood. And I have to leave soon, which is why I jumped in here.
Okay.
I have a few thoughts in response.
Excuse me for one moment. Polly, it is not necessary to take minutes with the name of every person and affiliation as to what they said. We're just looking for a couple of comments or the essence of what went on in tonight's meeting. The meeting is recorded, and anybody who wants the detail can go to the recording. Okay.
Okay, so we totally heard you at the community input meeting. I think I remember hearing from you about the running around, and we understood that the running around was for the entire site. This design, it may look like there's a lot kind of going on visually, but a lot of that is down at the ground plane. So all these little dots and everything, that's color seal coat, which is the same material that's on basketball courts, which makes it softer. So if you're running at full speed and you fall on this, it's not like falling on regular asphalt. So we were thinking about the running around a lot. But we do have, we have to navigate multiple different criteria to get the design to work, including protecting all the existing trees and making their conditions better. We can't impinge upon them, and we have to keep their root zones open and aerated. So that's why the plant beds, basically you'll see all our plant beds are about consolidating a bunch of trees together so that they'll continue to be healthy throughout their lifespan. So this is the kind of push and pull. So everywhere we could, we've got ways to run all around the site. But that's what's going on. That's why you're seeing a little bit of a push and pull on that.
And the fencing, do you need to put that on? Because they're just going to jump over it.
Yeah, the fencing, we find that the 2'6" height allows us to establish planting. So in our experience with little playgrounds like this, the 2'6" high fencing is adequate to stop cut throughs. Not every single one. Sometimes kids end up in there, but it makes it so it's not completely compacted and we don't lose all the plants. So we're trying to, again, find a balance between, we like the fences just to be, transparent if we could, right? But so they're as low as they can be while still serving their function.
Thank you so much. I want to move on to Ken from the board. I think Ken had a question.
Yeah, okay. Maybe can we switch to so we can see each other, or do you want to keep this up on the screen? But anyway, I'll ask my question. I had a couple of questions. One, just basic questions. We always ask what what is the timeline for construction? When will it be closed to the public? How long will that last? And what's the cost?
Well, the plans, if we get the go ahead tonight or at the public hearing, for the full board, we plan on going to the Public Design Commission, and then we plan on developing our detailed plans for the construction plans, and those would be finished by next spring, early summer. And then it would go out to bid. You go through a procurement process and then go out to bid, and we'd select a contractor and go into construction. But I would think that would be all of next year.
Well,
Yeah, probably December 2023 is what I'm calculating would be like the earliest possible to go into construction. So yeah, it's a long process, but hopefully worth it in the end.
And then more likely, I would think early 2024.
Yeah.
I don't know that we would start in the middle of the winter.
No, right. Yeah, that does make sense.
Yeah.
And then how long would it be?
So 1 year, so basically a 1 year project.
1 year, okay. And I just had a couple other questions. I was very interested. First of all, I just want to say this is a very imaginative design. I think it makes me wish I were a kid again. The noodles, I've never encountered those before. What are they made of, and are they durable? And I'll just list off my questions. Is the water recirculated in the spray area? And can an unaccompanied adult use the comfort station, even though unaccompanied adults are not allowed to use the playground?
On the last point, yes.
Okay.
The comfort station is meant to be used by people, by the general public, and people who would be using both Anibal Aviles and the Booker T. Washington Playground across the street.
Great.
And the noodles are powder coated steel, so they're actually rigid, and you can kind of rappel off of them to climb them. But yeah, they're very durable. And the water is not recirculating. DEP doesn't look too kindly on that, considering there could be a diaper in it. We've got to basically get it in the drain ASAP in order to comply with the regulations there.
Gotcha.
Thank you. I think Ira had a question, and after Ira, Elizabeth.
Okay, I'm back to the scheduling question. I was involved with the reconstruction of the 30 feet on the western side of the park, and did some of the preliminary planning for the building on the eastern side of the park. I don't know the schedule or the plans of Wishfish for the other building, but I just wondered if there's been any coordination between Parks and Wishfish and HPD in terms of the other project. There's a line that's kind of implied that there has been some, because I'd hate to see the park built and then have 30 feet of 40 feet of it shut down 6 months later for 2 years, similar to what has happened on the western side of the park. Because the shutdown of the western side of the park, I understand, happened during the pandemic, but it was certainly longer than anticipated. So I just want to know if that scheduling has been done or will be done.
Yeah, we've spoken with Wishfish, and I'm sure they will share their plans with us when they have the plans, but I don't think they have their plans as of yet. So, and we don't want to do anything in there that's going to be going to have to be taken out. So there is some coordination that's going to be necessary.
I mean, there is an excellent fence line implied in your plan for that future construction. So I just wanted to point that out. And I also wanted to point out if they stick to the original plan, and particularly as it was presented and discussed in the EIS, the building on the east side of the park should be far less involved than the building on the west side of the park. For obvious reasons, it's a smaller building, and the existing building does not have a cellar, so forth and so forth. I won't get into the details, but it would be nice to see all the park come together and this not be a 6 or 8 year project. So I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, the west side project really fell into a problem with getting supplies. The safety service is really difficult to order these days. So in our contracting process, we try to get those long lead items contracted and defined as to when they're going to be to arrive really as soon as possible. So hopefully our contractor will be able to obtain all those materials.
Ira, I want to thank you for that question. That's a very important question that you raised, and we definitely need to make sure that we're coordinating with Fish, because we certainly don't want to see the work that we're doing here undone by the other project that's coming down the line.
Thank you.
Thank you. Elizabeth?
Sure. I just want to express my strong support for this project, which started many years ago, thanks to Dan Cohen and others who are on this Zoom call tonight. Look, this is, there's been a lot of changes, a lot of things that have come back to us, and we've made those changes. I just want to say I am strongly in support of this. I think, Ira, the comments you made were really very good, and we need to make sure that we include those. But I think we need to call the question as soon as possible and be as strongly in support of this project as a community board as we can be tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see any other questions from the board, but I did have one question. I see that there were 2 big belly type trash compactors. Is that the only trash receptacle that you'll have, or will you have more?
We have there's trash receptacles at the street, and those are not the big bellies. I don't believe they are those just those large containers that we showed on the site furnishings. So those big bellies would be interior in the park. And
it looked like they were.
I don't think you can see my screen here, can you?
No, it looked like they were next to.
Can you see the screen?
The tables, the picnic
No?
tables.
Okay. Well, the trash receptacles on the outside are not big bellies, but there are some inside.
I'm seeing a total of 5 inside,
Okay. Okay.
or more, maybe 6. I'm just finding another one. Yep.
Okay. And the bike racks, will they be inside or outside?
They're outside.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I think Peter Arnston, Dan Cohen and then Peter Arnston, please.
Thank you. So again, just for the record, perhaps as president of Friends of Anibal Aviles Playground, it would be helpful to be noted in the minutes that we are in support of this project. A couple of quick comments. Maybe we could share the screen again to see the diagram. I have a specific request that perhaps might address some of what Godwin raised. I love Godwin's comments. I'm not perhaps completely on the same page as her. In the center, the vertical piece, the sort of green line in the middle that's got the 2 benches sort of pinching it in the center. I wanted to know if perhaps those 2 benches could be moved and you could actually have a cut through so that you could have sort of a straight line across to create more runway space for the kids. Part of this appeal of this playground is the shade. And the second is the sort of ability to sort of free range and run almost with reckless abandon across the playground. If you were to enable children to run straight through across the 5 to 12 play area with a sort of second opening on the left-hand side of it, which right now is those benches, that would be appreciated. I do appreciate the attempt to try and provide greenery and safe space for the trees to grow. That's marvelous. One thing I didn't notice is the whole park is sort of at an angle. It's kind of tilted. I don't know if that's, and the intention in this is to reset it. It's probably ferociously expensive to do that. So if it is at an angle, then keep that in mind with regards to something that you raised briefly at the beginning of your presentation, which is the drainage, which right now really doesn't exist. It just sort of splatters all over the playground and runs along the side street as well onto the sidewalk. So I hope that you give that a great deal of analysis. I love the stage and the synthetic turf in the corner. One thing, and maybe Steve Simon might be able to answer this specifically, which is the ability of the playground to host the puppet mobile, which we've done a number of times in the past. And now that we're going to have a new comfort station operational, whether that will be permitted. There's been some lack of clarity about whether the playground can host it going forward. I would love to know whether that's doable. And lastly is I understand this construction is going to at some point really sort of close down the playground for a period of time. Is the playground with the comfort station going to be open for a while and then closed, or what's the timeline in terms of how this is going to proceed?
Well, I would like, I have to talk to our capital staff. My hope is that we're going to somehow be able to retain access to the comfort station during this construction. I hope we can do that.
That's going to be pretty difficult, unfortunately, just given all the way the passive seating area has already been installed. We would have to make a cut through the swing area, which really would make the swings not very useful, and it'd be an awkward path. So we can continue to discuss it for sure, but I just want to put out there that it's going to be difficult to find a way to keep that open.
So that means assuming construction, I'm assuming this is approved at the committee level, and I want to say that I supported, and Liz's comments were very generous. This is a group of quite a number of people getting us to this point. But when would the park then be shut down for construction? Are we ever going to see the bathroom open, or is it going to be another 2 years of construction before we get to see it open and usable?
Well, presumably the conversation will be open sometime in the very near future, I would hope. So it should be open for at least a year or so before we.
Fine. So there'll be some use of it.
We have to do the contracting and all the bureaucratic wrangling that we go through to get a contractor on board. Also, one thing I think I neglected to say is the sidewalk along West 108th Street is all going to be redone. So it's going to be new sidewalk comparable to the sidewalk in front of the new section there.
Great.
All right. So one thing that Dan raised, Whitney and John, we need to take a look at whether or not the puppet mobile is going to be able to get into the park and make that turn and get over to the synthetic turf field. We need to check that out.
Yeah,
okay, who's the expert on the puppet mobile? We need to know its turning radius and things like that.
Yeah, we'll find Mr. Puppet. We'll get some. Yeah.
Also, there's some art that's now displayed on the easternmost side of the park about Anibal Aviles. It's autobiographical, done by an artist, Jennifer Pliego, and Bernardo Palumbo, which is really magnificent. And I look forward to that remaining perhaps in some form when the new building on the eastern side is constructed, either somewhere in the park or in the new building.
Thank you, Dan. We will move on to Peter Arnston now.
Thanks. Hi, this is a lot of work has gone into this, and I will say that I'm coming into it as the head of the local business improvement district, this neighborhood has a high number of kids. It has a high number of seniors. It has a high number of disabled. This playground is used heavily, and there's a number of concerns. One is, are you planning to take out any London planes? They provide a huge amount of shade for this area, which has been really attractive.
Let's see here. Let's go back.
They're also
believe all the
mature trees
removals
that
were,
take up, are really helpful for the air quality.
Yeah, the London planes are not coming out.
Great. Okay. The other thing that you should know is that there is a big push to use native plants that are bird and pollinator friendly. I think it was the hydrangeas that you might want to rethink and think about ones that are better. I know that people up at Morningside Park are looking at cranberry viburnum and something that has raisin in the name. I can't think of it right now, but just to be aware that that is an issue. We have a monarch migration going on right now down Amsterdam Avenue. The other thing is the synthetic turf. Right now, I know that the field at Booker T is supposed to be maintained and cleaned. I don't think it was replaced because it was not maintained. And I wonder how that's going to work in that area with younger kids. People do come in with dogs, and that area is attractive for that. Also, if there are spills or other things, it could become problematic for younger kids. So that's just something to be aware of. The other thing that comes to mind is the sight lines. And right now, this playground is used by older and younger kids. Semi-private has meant that that there are younger kids there observing them, and they're less likely to do risky behavior or problematic behavior. Just to mention some of the other children's groups, one is the Bloomdale Family Program, which is an long-standing kids program, and also at Cathedral Towers, there's a group that comes in there regularly. So you do have young children groups coming in there regularly. And then, as Dan had mentioned, the art project just is about to, it's been opened, I guess, and it's intended for 1 year. So just to be aware of that. And one last bit is my understanding of Big Bellies is that they often have maintenance problems, and if they go down, they're fairly useless. So just to have a backup if some of these start going bad, and they're fairly expensive. So just that would be something of concern for me. Thank you for hearing me out.
Yeah, great feedback. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, our maintenance and operations department actually likes the Big Bellies.
Good. That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, I think those were all of the questions. Oh, Barbara, you had your hand up.
Yes, I did. Thank you. I have a comment and also a question. First of all, I want to just mimic some of the comments that were made. Ken said it was very whimsical and a wonderful plan, and I totally agree with that. And Elizabeth said, I am 100% behind this, and I am too. So that said, I just wanted to ask a question about the flooding problem, why you're not using bioswales or rain gardens to solve some of that issue.
I think we are looking at pitching some of the stormwater into the plant beds. It may not be what we would call a full rain garden, because to do that, you have to install a very deep profile of soil, which isn't possible around existing trees, but it still will act as a much greener, even if I hesitate to call it a rain garden because it means something very specific to me, but it will act kind of like one. It'll put the water in contact with plants first before we send it into the drain. So we're going to look to do that as much as possible with the grading plan.
In connection with my old work, we installed a bioswale on the corner of Columbus Avenue and 76th Street to solve a flooding problem. And it worked magnificently. And that was about 12 years ago. And to this day, it still functions incredibly well. There's
Excellent.
no maintenance,
That's great.
no maintenance involved. And it's full of native plants and it's just thrived. So I recommend that.
We love them. We do.
Sue, ready for a vote?
Yeah.
One more brief comment, if I may. I see Ira, so I defer to Ira as a member of the committee.
Thank you. I just wanted to quickly point out that the play field at Booker T is more intensely used than ever. I was up there last night and it was phenomenally crowded with adult soccer players and adult soccer. The comfort station was actually pitched somewhat at the adult users of the field, as well as the children using the playground. And it would be very good if we could keep it somewhat accessible during the construction, even if you had to move the benches and build a ramp over some of it. I just wanted to note, though, and to echo Elizabeth Caputo's comment, I first came into the process on this block. It's scary to think 14 years ago. And while I'm no longer a formal part of the process, I am still part of the community board. And my youngest child just started Booker T. So I hope that this is all finished by the time he graduates Booker T. And as a graduation present for him and his friends, they get to try out the 5 to 12 playground before they leave. So, thank you.
Dan, please make it brief.
Very brief,
because we have to
just
move on.
100%, just a request for some additional seating. If you do that cut through, as I had suggested, my additional comments, moving additional benches around the trees, particularly watching the sprinkler area, would be requested. That's all. Thank you. Otherwise, please vote in favor. It's marvelous.
Okay, is everybody ready to vote?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All in favor of this project?
Committee members, right?
Committee members.
Yeah.
Seven committee members in favor? All opposed? That is committee members only. Opposed?
Can everybody just lower their hands?
Yeah, I
before
think
we
we better
do
start
the-
over.
That would be helpful. Thank
Yeah.
you. And
Okay.
now, if you're opposed to it, please raise your hand.
Anybody abstaining? Any abstentions for cause? Okay, so I think the vote was 7-0-0-0. I'm not sure that there weren't some latecomers to raising hands. So Natasha, did you get the vote?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Okay, okay, great.
Non-committee?
Non-committee board members, all those in favor? 3. Opposed? 0. Abstaining? Abstaining for cause? Okay, 3-0-0-0. Great, thank you.
Congratulations. It's a great park.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody from Parks.
Thank you.
And everybody else who spoke. Our next item is to be presented by Naomi Rodriguez and Aviva Klein. It is about an upcoming art installation in one of our parks. So please go ahead.
Hello, good evening. I'm Naomi Rodriguez. I am from the Art Antiquities Department and a public art coordinator. I'm here with artist Aviva Klein. There is a photo exhibit that we want to share with the community board.
You're able to share your screen if you would like.
Oh, perfect. Let's see. Alrighty. Can everybody see?
Yes.
Perfect. So Aviva, definitely feel free to jump on in.
Okay.
Just giving you guys the visual.
So just to kind of give a quick synopsis and not take up too much time, I just wanted to thank you all so much for viewing my quick proposal here, and Naomi for all your hard work throughout the summer to help me get to this point. Basically, I was awarded a artist residency with the Lower Manhattan Community Center, and they paired me with JASA, which is a Jewish. I mean, not everyone that is a senior there is Jewish, but it's a Jewish center for seniors. So they have a senior citizen program there where anyone from the neighborhood is welcome to come. And so when I was paired with JASA, my goal was to bring visibility to the aging and elderly in the community. And so I taught them photography. And with what I taught them, they basically creative directed all of their photographs. And so they picked their outfit color paired with the background color and how they wanted to be viewed and how they wanted the lighting to look. And so that's what you see here with the images. Our proposal is to have this printed on a vinyl banner, 18 by 3, and I guess it would be tied with like zip ties and sprockets, and it would be up for about 30 days. Mm-hmm. Naomi, am I missing anything?
It's a vinyl mesh, so it will be perforated. So it won't be like a wind sail, so to speak. So it's very secure. And yes, it's going to be for 30 days.
I'm sorry, can one of you clarify exactly which playground this will be at? I don't think you said.
This is at Tecumseh Playground.
Yes, on Amsterdam.
Mm-hmm. Which is a block away from the JASA.
Exactly, yeah. So it was important for me to pick a playground that's in the vicinity of where the aging are living so that they can see it and the community can celebrate them. And also it's a way to kind of make them feel important, because I know as we all age, there really isn't much visibility for the aging. And so I wanted to create space for them to do and showcase this for the community.
Thank you very much. This looks like a really great project.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate your feedback, Roberta.
I think we have a few questions here. Firstly, from Ken Coughlin of the committee. Go ahead, Ken.
Yeah, hi. This looks very interesting project. I was just wondering, first of all, who is the photographer here? Is it you, or is it you in collaboration with your subjects, or are they?
Yes, it's me in collaboration with my subjects. So I basically taught them the basics of photography when it comes to lighting, contrast. We talked about color, texture, just a variety of things over a workshop that was 3 months. And in collaboration with them, We talked about how they want to be viewed. What I forgot to mention, which is actually very important, is that the title of this series is called Legacy. And so this was their way of capturing their legacy based on the different aspects of photography that I taught them.
Mhm. And I had one other question which has slipped my mind. So if it occurs to me, I'll raise my hand again. Sorry.
You can also email me if you feel like it.
Okay.
Thank you. I'll go to Elizabeth Caputo and then William Ortiz.
Great, thanks. It sounds like a really incredible, worthwhile project, and I'm inclined to support it. We are the Parks and Environment Committee, so I'm just wondering what the design and the photographs and the things that you're doing in and around Tecumseh Playground will do to help the environment and sustainability before I vote. Thank you.
That's a good question. It was not necessarily an aspect of this project. What I can do is possibly speak to the printer and see if there's some sort of weather resistant vinyl of sorts that we could print on so that it is better for the environment.
Thanks, that would be great. I think it's a great project. We just, again, it's seems like a lot of photographs and paper and other things, and we want to make sure that we're doing what we can in the neighborhood to make sure we're protecting everyone and everything.
Understood. I appreciate your feedback, Elizabeth.
Before we move on to William, I just want to say, if you want to go up to Anibal Aviles Playground, Aviva, they have artwork up there, and it seems to be, I don't know what the material is, maybe somebody on the call does know, but I saw it and it seems very weather resistant. It's biographical about Anibal Aviles himself, so maybe you could get some ideas from there.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
I can find out for you if you'd like.
okay, yeah. The next person is William Ortiz and then Mark Diller.
Thank you. And thank you, Aviva, for your presentation. This actually really spoke to me because I'm also a photographer, portrait photographer as well. So I just kind of I wanted to geek out for a little bit. I just was curious what was your strategy in teaching your clients, and what photo gear did you use? Just kind of curious.
Sure. I mean, the strategy was to make the concepts of photography or teach them, explain them as simply as possible using a lot of visual references. So more of like seeing, and instead of trying to imagine what a certain thing does. And so doing also a lot of live demos. And the easiest way for us to collaborate at the end in terms of having the group that I was working with choose how they want to be photographed was I created basically a very simple menu that gave them options. So, pick your background color, they would circle that. Do you want hard light or soft light? They would circle that, so on and so forth. And then in terms of the photo gear, I was really lucky enough. So LMCC gave me a small stipend, which unfortunately wasn't enough. However, I did pitch to Sony and Dougal and also K&M Rentals. And so I was able to get them to help with the printing costs as well as the equipment. And the equipment was rented from K&M. And we use Pro Photo lights and Nikon cameras and lenses. Through the grant, I was also given opportunity to go, I forget the name, but it's in Long Island City. It's an art center that you can basically take whatever you want. And so I got a bunch of different fabric backgrounds. I got a chair that one of the people I think is sitting on. And that was a great, resource. And it also helped pay for my digital assistant who was instrumental in helping me build out the lighting setups because we did, I think, like 9 or 10 in one day. So she helped with lighting and digital capture. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Hope that
Just,
answers your questions.
yeah, no, it's an opportunity just to kind of geek out just for a second and have see something beautiful for our community. So thank you.
I appreciate that. Thanks, William.
Thank you. Mark, and then followed by Peter Arnston.
Thanks. I'm always amazed at all the different things that William does, so I'm just kind of capturing that for a second. The main thing I wanted to mention was that it appeared to me from the image that you showed that the installation would be on the fence along the 77th Street side of that playground. And that playground also has a fence along the Amsterdam Avenue elevation of that playground. And I would, I think it's a beautiful project. I would recommend that if there is a way to do it on Amsterdam instead of the side street, you'll capture more people. You'll get folks going to and from not only JASA, but JCC, and there's a bus stop right there. So it'll be seen by more folks. And it also would have the salutary effect of sometimes there are people who unfortunately get a little creepy and hang out and watch children playing who shouldn't. And so having this barrier to that, it's a collateral benefit to it. So for those two reasons, I would suggest the Amsterdam, if it's feasible, if it is otherwise doesn't diminish the project.
That sounds great to me. As long as I can get the Parks Department, I think that's a great suggestion. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely.
The other thing I wanted to mention was that in response to what Elizabeth said, I'm going to show you my favorite tote bag. I don't know if I can get it in focus. This is made out of those banners that the
banners from Lincoln Center or from the bid, right?
This is for summer swing, but whatever it is, they take them down and then they sew them. They have somebody sew them together as tote bags, and so the vinyl doesn't go into a landfill. It goes into my closet and is used for marketing. So if that's at all possible for the aftermath of your, I mean, wouldn't it be lovely to give the bag with that image as a raffle item or a fundraising item for JASA at the next fundraiser? Anyway,
that sounds great. Do you know who created those?
So Monica Bloom, from the
Monica Bloom at the Lincoln Center bid can help you, and we can also help you in the board office. CB7 board office can help you.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Peter Arnston.
I just wanted to quickly respond to the question about the materials for the one up at Anibal Aviles. Jennifer started with vinyl, and she's had, I think, four exhibits with vinyl. They've each lasted about 2 months, and they've held up except for vandalism. So she had 3 or 4 that had been slashed, and she was able to replace those. Since then, she's now putting up this large one dedicated to the ex-Marine, Anibal Aviles, who was killed in Vietnam. And that's going to be a much bigger piece, but underneath it are pieces that are printed on metal, and they're expected to last for years, is the intent. So just that little bit of information, but Jennifer Pliego is the artist that's been operating, and she also has LMCC money. So thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, Peter.
Barbara, I thought of my
Last
question.
comment. So we have to move on again.
Yeah, not a comment, just a question that I thought of. I assume there's going to be some explanatory text telling people how these were developed. Good.
Yes, and we hope to have an opening where the members who are photographed can come out and other community members can come out just to celebrate the installation. Thank you for your time, everybody. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. We look forward to seeing it for sure. Thanks for the presentation.
Do we have to vote?
No, there's no vote on this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you, Aviva. Thank you, Nate. Bye-bye.
Now we get to everybody's favorite part, our priorities. The committee was sent a list of the capital and expense priorities as our committee developed them. I want to thank Roberta, who was on this call. Roberta, are you still there?
I am. I have to leave a little after
Okay,
8.
Roberta has agreed to help us out with this. Roberta is one half of the budget committee. And
One half. We have 5 members on the budget committee.
oh, okay. Well, she's 1/5 of the budget committee.
But I am the chair of the budget committee.
So we heard no comments from anybody. So let me start by asking if anybody had any comments to.
Excuse me, I wrote and I said I thought it was great. Hello?
Yes, that was a good comment. Thank you. Any concerns, I should have said. Anybody have concerns?
Yes,
Okay, let's hear them, Ken.
okay. Just going through, starting at capital. We had talked about adding, restoring the perimeter sidewalk in Central Park and the lawn bowling in Central Park. And you had said, well, we might add that. So.
And I was much a proponent of the lawn bowling, but we spoke to the Central Park Conservancy. They said it is used by such a small fraction of people. It is not going to happen anytime soon. If they get private funding for it, they will be happy to move forward with it, but it just is not going to happen now. And so that was removed. And as far as the perimeter sidewalk, another really important project, which I was in favor of, we were advised by the budget committee that we needed to minimize the number of priorities that we had if we had any hope of getting those that are most in need addressed and put on the final list. So,
Okay.
yeah.
And then under operating, number 3, the PEP officers, we still have the sentence about giving them the power to enforce. I think, I'm sure they have the power to enforce. So I'm not sure we
Well,
should say that.
once
since it's already
again,
the
you
case.
know, we vetted this language through about 6 different people from the Parks Department. They all factored in on it. This is what we wound up with. So as far as we know, this is accurate. And
So you're saying you think they don't have the power to enforce?
I actually don't think that there's anything wrong with reinforcing that.
yeah,
They have the power to enforce, and they should continue to have the power to enforce.
If I could just jump in for a minute.
please.
Part of the document that we write is our budget priorities, but it also informs the public and informs us in working forward. So having, you know, when we edit out certain language, it doesn't hurt to not edit it out, because it informs those who are reading it. When the proposal goes down to the agencies, they're not reading that we want to enforce it. They're reading the dollar amounts. So when we get information back from the agency, which will be the Parks Department, they will talk about the funding. They won't talk about the language that we put in.
Yeah, I'm just concerned that people are going to look at this and say, well, Community Board 7 doesn't know what the law is, because it says should be provided. They should be provided the power to enforce. They already have this.
Okay.
So
What
maybe
power do they actually have? I mean, what can they do to enforce?
They encourage.
they can give tickets. People get
But
tickets
you know,
all the time.
The language to encourage.
It's my understanding they are not allowed to ask for any ID from anybody, and that most of the people who get tickets, I've heard, just give a fake name and address.
Well, that's kind of
I
a
don't know, I've
different
never
issue.
had personal experience, but
Well, I mean, we can always add the word continue, that they should continue to be allowed to enforce.
Right.
And
Yeah,
I think now we can lay this matter to rest.
yes, that would
Let's
be
move on to any other concerns.
okay. The electric bikes on paths. When we're saying we don't want electric bikes on paths, are we talking about electric city bikes? We don't want electric city bikes?
I think we were discussing all e-bikes. You know, the field is changing. There are new types of vehicles out there all the time that individuals can ride. So, you know, this is kind of a catch-all statement. Bicycles, which are non-e-vehicles, and then e-vehicles, which are e-bikes. So without getting too much bogged down in the language, we think that this is appropriate, e-vehicles.
Well,
I'd just like to point out, Ken, I'm sure you know, there are also a lot of motorcycles that are on the park paths.
oh, for sure. And I agree, they should not be there.
Yeah.
There are many different kinds, and the city is encouraging people to use city bike, and electric city bikes are incredibly popular, and they're all over the bike paths, and they may be technically not supposed to be there, but I'm not sure we should jump on that bandwagon. But,
Yeah, I disagree.
okay, well, that's
not what we're talking about tonight.
We can
so
have another
you're
discussion about that another time. In number 4, to address the rats, how about adding something about encouraging composting? Because that's a huge
Encouraging what?
composting, which is a great way to reduce the rat.
We have encouraging composting as a need.
Yeah, but I'm just saying in this, we have a list of things that they could be doing, DSNY could be doing, and we might want to add language such as expand the composting program or something like that.
I just want to clarify that this language, starting from additional litter basket till the end, was received directly from the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene. Mm-hmm. So, you know, they did not mention anything about composting over here. I don't think anybody on this board is against composting or the expansion of composting. But, you know, these very specific steps were given to us by the Department of Health. And I don't know how, like, if somebody wants to feel strongly about adding the composting, we can. But it wasn't left off because of some oversight. It was just left off because we feel that this language came from the Department of Health. Mm-hmm. And it's appropriate because it's very, very targeted about what is actually needed.
Yeah. I just know that Gail is trying to expand the increase composting in the district as much as possible. And so any mention of it would be helpful, I think.
Well, in this case, it's a little bit like apples and oranges. I mean, we do want to get rid of rats. We want to control the rats, and I think it should be more friendly. I don't think it's appropriate. Not that I'm opposed to compacting at all, but I think it's not really appropriate for this item.
Barbara, I think we can put that in our district needs statement. It doesn't have to go into the budget priorities.
Okay, great. That would be great.
Okay, that's all.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Roberta, do we need a vote on this?
No, what we're going to do is we've taken your list. We put everything you gave us onto these. One is capital, one is, and tomorrow night at steering, we will be voting on the order that Beverly and I spent a couple of hours, and I spent maybe 2 or 3 hours every day last week working on these documents to the point that Friday I just said, whatever it is, it is. So tomorrow night, you will have a numbered list of the capital and one for the expense. We will vote on it. It will then become a resolution from the budget committee that will go to the full board on Monday, October 3rd, to be voted up or, down. We're holding the hearing tomorrow night. We expect it to be a good hour. Last year, I think we were about an hour, maybe an hour and 10 minutes. And we had a really good discussion. And I'm expecting that at the full board, it will be a shorter item because we will have totally vetted it tomorrow night. And then the agencies don't, here's the thing, the agencies don't really look at how we order it. So, you know, you may think that your PEP officer should be item 1, it might be item 8 on the list when it gets voted. But when the Parks Department gets it, they look at all the items from Parks. They don't see that it's number 8 on our list. They see that it's on our list. And they then decide what to do. For example, last year you had the skylight at the rec center as one of your items. And the Parks Department wrote back that that should be funded by one of our electeds, primarily Gail. And this year Gail has funded it, so it's no longer on the list. The same thing with some of the playgrounds. So some items need to be funded by the department and some items can be funded by a local elected because it's within their, the money they get. So in February or March, we will get a letter back, a spreadsheet back from OMB telling us how each agency has responded, which I then send to each committee, and each committee then can decide how to move forward on that item. And we've been told that the more specific we are, the greater chance we have of getting something funded. So it's a complicated process.
Yeah, I'll say.
We also put items in the district needs statement, and the agencies also look at that. But the DNS is more of a guide for us. So if something goes in DNS, for example, having composting, it's something that when it comes back to the Parks Department, you don't have to have a resolution. You could just write a letter because it's already in the district needs statement. So at which point Gail comes back and says, we need more buildings to do this. You just write a letter to Department of Health and say, or Department of Sanitation in this case, and say we need every building on the Upper West Side to be part of the compost. I don't know if that helps.
Thank you, Roberta.
Thank you. So if anyone is interested, tomorrow night is steering is the discussion before full board.
I see that Peter Arnston has his hand up. Peter, do you have something to say?
It was new business if you're available for it.
Oh yeah, we'll get to
just
new
get into
business
it
right
now.
on.
I think Elizabeth is going to go first
Thank
because she had asked us previously. So
Yeah, I just wanted to remind everyone it's Climate Week in New York. So climateweeknyc.com. I'm not able to post that on the chat, but if maybe one of the co-chairs could, it's climateweeknyc.com. There are a lot of events going on. I think it's really important that this committee remain Parks and Environment. And there's a lot of good stuff going on this week. I think we need to hold our electeds accountable, especially when it comes to them taking mass transit and making sure that they're not in cars this week. It's going to be a lot of gridlock, and not just this week, but forever. So that's all I wanted to say about it. But for the committee's purposes, I hope we can continue to make that a focus. So
is there anyone on the committee who'd like to volunteer to be part of that?
I'll continue to do it. I'll continue to do it, but just wanted to make sure people were aware. This is an important week.
There's a major event tomorrow at the Museum of Natural History, and traffic around the museum, the parks are going to be closed, and traffic around the museum is going to be crazy. So just to give you all a heads up.
But that's exactly what I'm talking about, that we want to try to make sure that that doesn't happen every other week other than this week. So again, it's Climate Week and there's a lot of stuff going on, and just wanted to acknowledge it from the committee since we're P&E. Thanks. That's it.
Thank you. Thanks. Okay, Peter.
Sure. Thank you. And thank you for all your work. This is a really important committee. The Bloomingdale Neighborhood History Group will be hosting a talk on waterways coming up on September 26th. It'll be a Zoom, September 28th, which is a Wednesday. and it will be a Zoom presentation, I believe by Gil Tauber and Jim Mackin. It's looking at not only the it's a lot of the waterways that have become subsurface, and should be interesting. That is part of the reason, because we have so many, that's actually supported some of the rat population. But it's also good to know. So that's happening. And then on October 22nd, we are hosting with our Open Streets and Eco Arts Festival. And if the community board has, or this committee, or any of you would be interested in having a table with information or activities, we would welcome it. So just be in touch if that's of any interest, or otherwise just come up and enjoy it. There should be a variety of dance and other activities. So that's October 22nd, which, if I remember right, is a Saturday.
The
Yes.
event, the 28th, has been posted to our on our newsletter by Ashley. So that's been up on the.
Excellent.
So we can give Ashley a hand.
Yes. Thank you very much. Okay. Well, thank you again for your work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Does anybody else have any other new business to discuss? Okay, before we leave, I just wanted to thank Roberta for all her support and guidance through the budgeting process. It was really invaluable. And I also want to thank Polly tonight for taking the minutes.
Yes.
Thank you, Polly.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thanks, everyone.
Good night.